On October 28, 2025, Jamaica braced for a storm unlike any in living memory. Hurricane Melissa, a Category 5 monster that had been building strength for days as it churned across the Atlantic. Meteorologists had tracked its every move, warning that this was no ordinary hurricane, but a historic event that could change the island forever. As the morning hours passed, the skies grew darker, thick with ominous clouds. Palm trees whipped violently in the rising wind, their fronds torn and scattered. An eerie, unnatural silence settled over neighborhoods, as if the entire island was holding its breath, waiting for the first blow. Around 1 p.m., near the small community of New Hope, Melissa made landfall. The hurricane slammed ashore with sustained winds of 185 miles per hour, faster than the world's quickest race cars, and strong enough to rip apart anything in its path. The force of the wind was almost unimaginable, flattening fields and shattering windows in seconds. Roofs were torn from homes and businesses, trees snapped like matchsticks, and the sound outside was a deafening, relentless roar that seemed to shake the very air. People huddled inside, praying for the storm to pass. For hours, the island was battered by wind and water. Streets became rivers as the storm surge crashed over seawalls, swallowing cars and flooding entire neighborhoods. The line between sea and land vanished beneath the surging tides, leaving devastation in its wake. The ground itself seemed to tremble as Melissa raged overhead, tearing apart buildings and scattering debris for miles. When the winds finally eased, the landscape was unrecognizable. Homes destroyed, lives upended, and entire communities left in ruins. The government had issued urgent warnings in the days before landfall, making it clear that no building was guaranteed to withstand the storm's fury. Residents scrambled to reinforce their homes, but many knew it might not be enough. Prime Minister Andrew Holness ordered mass evacuations along the vulnerable southern coast, urging families to leave everything behind in a desperate race to save lives. Shelters filled quickly as people sought safety from the oncoming disaster. In the aftermath, Jamaica would never forget the day nature unleashed its full fury, changing the island and its people forever. What exactly is a hurricane? It's a question that's fascinated scientists and terrified coastal communities for centuries. Hurricanes are among the most powerful and awe-inspiring natural events on Earth, capable of reshaping entire landscapes in just a matter of hours. At its core, a hurricane is a massive, spinning engine powered by warm, moist air over tropical waters. These storms can stretch hundreds of miles across, with their swirling clouds and fierce winds visible even from space. The process begins when warm ocean water evaporates, rises, cools, and forms clouds. As this happens, heat is released into the atmosphere, fueling the storm and causing it to grow larger and more intense. The more heat and moisture the storm draws in, the stronger it becomes. The Earth's rotation sets this swirling column of air spinning, creating the iconic spiral shape. As the storm feeds on the ocean's energy, it can rapidly intensify, sometimes transforming from a tropical depression to a full-blown hurricane in just a day or two. When winds hit 74 mph, it's officially a hurricane. But these storms can grow much stronger, with wind speeds that can shatter windows, topple trees, and send debris flying through the air. Hurricanes are ranked from Category 1 to 5. Melissa was the most dangerous, with winds over 157 mph. The dangers are many. Each category brings greater risks, from damaging winds to catastrophic flooding. Winds that rip roofs off, shatter windows, and turn everyday objects into dangerous projectiles. Torrential rain that floods entire neighborhoods, turning streets into rivers and forcing families to flee their homes. And the deadly storm surge, a sudden rise of ocean water that can inundate coastal areas in minutes. Storm surge is the most lethal. Walls of ocean water pushed ashore, rising higher than a house, and sweeping away everything in their path, from cars to entire buildings. For Melissa, experts warned of a 13-foot surge along Jamaica's southern coast, enough to submerge homes and threaten lives in low-lying areas. Hurricanes combine ferocious wind, torrential rain, and surging seas, nature's most destructive force, capable of leaving devastation in their wake. It's not just a storm, it's a multi-pronged assault on everything in its path, testing the strength of buildings, the resilience of communities, and the preparedness of everyone in its way. That's why hurricanes demand respect and preparation. Understanding what they are and how they form is the first step in staying safe when one approaches. Hurricane Melissa wasn't just powerful, it was historic. With 185 mph winds at landfall, it became one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes ever to strike land. Even hours later, it remained a Category 4, still packing 145 mph winds. Melissa's slow crawl meant more rain, more wind, and more destruction. After Jamaica, the storm moved north, threatening Cuba, the Bahamas, and even Bermuda. Its massive size meant even areas far from the center felt its wrath. Each island in its path braced for disaster, watching as the storm crept closer. Melissa's journey was a days-long ordeal, bringing life to a standstill across the region. The storm's legacy would be felt far beyond Jamaica. It was a regional catastrophe, a slow-motion disaster that tested the Caribbean's resilience. For Jamaicans, Melissa's arrival was a nightmare. The storm's force caused immediate devastation and tragic loss of life. Even before landfall, 3 deaths were reported. Prime Minister Holness ordered mandatory evacuations in the most vulnerable areas, urging people to seek higher ground. As the hurricane raged, critical infrastructure failed. Power, internet, and phones went down, isolating communities. At the storm's peak, only 42% of normal online connectivity remained. Tourists, about 25,000, were stranded, their paradise turned into a trap. Shelters opened, resorts enacted emergency plans, but everyone faced the same relentless storm. The priority: keep people safe, no matter where they were. Melissa's impact was felt by all, uniting the island in fear and determination. As if wind and floods weren't enough, Hurricane Melissa unleashed another threat: crocodiles. Flooding pushed these powerful reptiles from rivers into neighborhoods, forcing officials to warn, "Stay out of floodwaters." What looked like harmless water could hide a dangerous animal, or worse. Floodwaters were toxic, mixed with sewage, chemicals, and debris. Hidden dangers lurked: sharp objects, broken glass, even live power lines. The safest place was high ground, away from the murky chaos. The crocodile warning became a symbol of how disasters disrupt both human and animal lives. The storm blurred the line between wild and civilized, bringing ancient predators into modern streets. For Jamaicans, it was one more reason to stay vigilant and heed official warnings. Melissa's aftermath was as unpredictable as the storm itself. The Jamaican government acted fast: mandatory evacuations, emergency shelters, and constant updates. Schools, churches, and community centers became safe havens for evacuees. Health officials prepared for medical emergencies and warned about dangers like crocodiles and contaminated water. Even as power and internet failed, radio and emergency alerts kept people informed. After the storm, officials assessed damage, distributed supplies, and began clearing roads. The focus: protect lives first, then start the long road to recovery. In crisis, clear communication and quick action saved countless lives. Jamaica's 25,000 tourists saw their dream vacation turn into a survival story. Resorts activated emergency plans, moving guests to secure areas and keeping them safe as the storm raged. Communication with families back home was nearly impossible, adding to the fear. Most tourists followed instructions, supporting staff and sharing the anxiety. But not all behaved well. A social media influencer's insensitive posts sparked outrage, reminding everyone of the need for empathy. The majority, however, respected the crisis and worked together with locals. Thanks to the dedication of tourism workers, guests were protected, even as staff worried about their own families. The storm ruined holidays, but safety came first. Melissa was a harsh lesson in respect, responsibility, and resilience. In Melissa's aftermath, Jamaicans came together, neighbors helping neighbors, clearing debris, sharing supplies. For those abroad, the urge to help was strong. The government launched supportjamaica.gov.jm, the official site for donations to fund recovery efforts. Using official channels is crucial. Scammers often exploit disasters, so donate only through trusted sources. Spreading reliable information and supporting Jamaican businesses also aid recovery. Visiting Jamaica when it's ready helps rebuild the economy. Recovery is a long road, but global support and local unity make it possible. Out of many, one people. Jamaica's spirit shines brightest in adversity. When the winds finally died down, Jamaica awoke to a scene of unimaginable devastation. Entire neighborhoods flattened, roads washed away, and communities left underwater. The landscape was forever changed, and the scale of destruction was overwhelming for many who returned to find their homes and livelihoods in ruins. In those first critical days, the focus was on survival. Emergency responders worked around the clock, rescuing stranded families, providing urgent medical care, and distributing food and water to those in need. The sense of urgency was palpable, as everyone came together to help neighbors and strangers alike. But the journey to recovery is a marathon, not a sprint. Restoring power, water, roads, and homes will take months, perhaps even years. Every day brings new challenges: clearing debris, repairing infrastructure, and finding ways to rebuild stronger than before. Through it all, the spirit of one love endures. Neighbors help each other clear debris, communities share resources, and volunteers work side by side. The nation stands united, drawing strength from its shared sense of purpose and hope. Recovery is also a chance to build back stronger and smarter. New building codes are being put in place, warning systems are being improved, and communities are learning how to be more resilient in the face of future storms. It's a time for innovation and preparation. The world has not turned away. International aid workers arrive with supplies and expertise, and donations pour in from around the globe. Combined with Jamaica's unbreakable will, this support powers the long road to recovery. Hurricane Melissa was a tragedy, but it is not the end of Jamaica's story. In the midst of loss, there are signs of hope: sunlight breaking through the clouds, and people determined to rebuild their lives. Jamaicans will rebuild, restore, and ensure their island's vibrant culture shines again. Families come together to repair homes, artists restore murals, and children find joy even as the work continues. The path ahead is hard, but hope and unity lead the way. Every act of kindness, every shared meal, and every helping hand brings the community closer together. With every challenge faced, Jamaica's heart grows stronger. The resilience of its people is unbreakable, and their determination shines through in every sunrise. The island's future remains bright. No storm, no matter how fierce, can take away the spirit and hope that define Jamaica.